Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Baruch Haba. We're continuing in Mishnah Berurah, Daf HaShavua. We're learning Siman Nun Gimel. And today we're going to learn Sif Chaf Vav and begin Siman Nun Daled B'Siyata D'Shmaya. Kahal Shenohagu Lamanois Anoshim Al Tzarchei Hatzibur Lizman. A congregation who are accustomed to appoint people for the needs of the tzibur for a certain amount of time. Basically, in the classic setup in a shul where there's like a board, their board of trustees, there's a president, a vice president, a gaba even, and they're hired for not they're hired, but they're voted into a position for 2 years, and then when 2 years are over, other people take their place. So the halacha is bein lechazin, whether to dam for the amud, bein lekupa shel tzedakah, to be in charge of the communal funds, bein l'shar menuyim atzichim tzibur, bein shenoilam mayim sachar, bein sheinim noilam, whether they get paid or not. Afilu lo yikavu lahem zman, even if they didn't say exactly how long they're going to serve. Staman keperushan, without any explicit appointment and qualification. It's like it was enunciated that they're only in that role for a certain amount of time. Since that's the custom. Haga yesh mi shekasav. Some write the shel tzibur yispalo mitoich sefer hamiyuchad letzibur devadai nichtav lishma. Interesting. Some say the shel tzibur, when he davens, he should daven from a special sefer which is designated for the tzibur, because it was definitely written for his name. What does that mean? Says in Mishnah Berurah Sivkatan Pevav, Hatzibur Lizman. Ayin b'tshuvas chemda shloimai siman zayin besachru chazan Lizman gimel sham. Let's say they hired a chazan for 3 years. Demasik ahach dina dahacha, who he questions the din mentioned here. Du dafka b'makam shaminag shel achar zman yetzu elu. It's only if it's a place where the minhag is that after the time passes, the current appointees move on. But nowadays, when somebody steps into a role, they don't remove him unless there's some kind of suspicion. Don't move a guy out of a position for nothing. You don't want to create any suspicion. Unless they explicitly stipulated. After the time that was determined, then the time elapses, and both parties could retract. And the new appointee would need to be accepted, and a new vote, ayin sham. So basically, the Chadna Shom is pointing out that nowadays, it's going, often they would keep people in the role unless there was a problem with somebody. So you shouldn't just remove somebody because you want to put in somebody new. We need to get new blood in. Yeah, you need to get new, but the first guy has to marry off his kids. People are going to say, yeah, everything's good, but he used to be the gabbai. What happened? Nobody knows. You don't want to create that kind of thing. Now, what is this inyan that the Rama brings, that the shel tzibur should daven from a designated siddur? Perish nichtav l'shem shamayim v'lo l'shem hisbarus. It was written for the sake of heaven and not glory. Now, the Dirshu brings from Rav Moshe that a siddur of an individual, you don't have to be makbid. But we see from here, bottom line, is that the way a siddur was written, it makes an impression in the way the tefillah's efficacy. Therefore, you should be careful not to daven from a siddur that there's a chash that was published through Chilul Shabbos, even if goyim did it. How could you daven with something that's a kategar? Also, you should be careful not to learn from Svarim that there's a chash it was published on Shabbos. In general, should a person daven from a siddur? The Dirshu brings that later on, Siman Tzadi Gimel Sivkata and Beis, that Arizal mispala from a siddur to be mechavein and not to swallow a nakuda. And it depends. If you are familiar with every shvana, shvanach, mil'el, mera without a siddur, then of course you don't need a siddur. But if, let's say, you sometimes have a hard time remembering what's a shvana, what's a shvanach, what's a mil'el, mera. Now, many siddurim don't even tell you what's a shvana, shvanach. They don't necessarily tell you what's a mil'el, mera. So first thing is you want to get a siddur that tells you. Okay, weiter. Even if the siddur for the individual is in a better print, but if the siddur was written for the shots, it was probably written lishma. Printed svarim ein chilek bein shel tzibur liyachid. It doesn't matter if it was for the community or the individual. Prima Gadam says an individual should daven from a siddur koshken shel tzibur. Certainly the shel tzibur she'emat tzibur alav she'ispal b'fnim. The fear, the awe of the tzibur is upon him that he should daven inside. The kohen shel tzibur chazan. The shel tzibur is called a chazan. Why? Shetzarach lirois heich yikra. He needs to be looking how everything should be read. The targum vayar vachazi. The targum of the word vayar is vachazi. So a chazan is somebody who sees. Okay. Siman Nun Daled. Dinim hashayachim liyishtabach. The halachos that are applicable to yishtabach. So we're already up to yishtabach. Yishtabach inoi poisachas b'baruch. Yishtabach does not open with the word baruch. Lefishi smuch lebaruch shamar, because it's juxtaposed to baruch shamar. Shestein niskenu al psuke de zimra. They're both enacted on Psukkah de Zimra, Zu Lefneim, Zu Lachreim. One before, one after. It says Mishnah she smucha. V'afagav the Psukim mafsikim enim. Even though many Psukim interpose, Lai have a hefsik. It's not a hefsik. The Lavush explains, says the Dirshu, all the Psukim are shiros v'sishbachos. Kamay bracha achroina shebekriya shema, or shebahalel, like the final bracha of Shema or Halel. Shegamkin inim aschas baruch mahaytama also does not begin with Baruch for the same reason, even though there's a big interposition either with Shema or with Halal. Sif Beis. Ein lanos amen achar melech mula betishbachos. When the Chazan says, Baruch atah Hashem melech mula betishbachos v'mishtabach, don't say amen, because you're answering premature. The bracha is not over until Kel oidois adon anaflois habecher b'shir zimra melech kel chei ha'olamim el achar chei ha'olamim shesham hosiyim ha'bracha. That's where the bracha ends. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Bat Tishbachais, Zu Hayir Nuschasai. Their nusach was Melech Mul Bat Tishbachais. Our nusach is Avol Nuschasenu Kel Melech Gadol Bat Tishbachais. V'roit Solaimar Sha'achar Shasim Ashel Tzibur B'Yishtabach Baruch Atah Hashem Kel Melech Gadol Bat Tishbachais Lo Yana Shema Dem Al Zalmei. No one should answer amen. That Kati Lo Yavasim HaBracha. The bracha is not finished. Ad Sha'amar Gamkein Kel ha'oida'os, v'chulu, ad chei ha'olamim. Benusuch chei ha'olamim, yesh garsim b'tseirei. Some say chei ha'olamim. V'yesh garsim b'patach. Now what's the difference between chei and chai? What's going on here? What's the difference between chei and chai? The difference is, the Tosfos Yom Tov says, chei means he's mechaya ha'olamim. That's why later on the Mishnah Berurah says, Bareinu fashois rabbeis chasrainam al kamash raz lachis b'hem never baruch chei ha'olamim. There the Mishnah Berurah sides with the Girsa chei. Some have a Gersa Chai. Va'afilu l'dei azu mikol makom yoimar ha'olamim behei ki perushay chai b'shnei ha'olamim. So chai ha'olamim means he's mechaya, he gives life to. Chai ha'olamim means he lives in both worlds. V'shal b'olam hazman haba. Sounds like which one does the Mishnah Berurah side with? He's not siding. Sivkat and Gimel Sheshamhu Tzarchi and Imutar Azal Hafsik Lanas Ameni Hishmar Kedusha Kimamer Echad Hu Ad Saif Let's say the Chazan says, Melech, Kel Melech Gadol B'Tishbachais. Could you at that point answer, Amen Yehei Rabbah? Or do we say, no, you can't interrupt until the whole Kel Ha'edos Adonai Avos B'Chashim Melech Kel Cheo Elamim V'ayin B'Chai Adam Klal Heis. If you gimel the B'chol Bracha Kitzara, every short bracha, Asur Lahafsik B'Emtza, it's asur to interrupt in the middle. Afilu Amen Yehei Rabbah Kedusha V'yesh Techalek V'Tzarachian. The Chai Adam says, let's say you're making a shahakal, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, and you hear, you're not allowed to answer Amen Yehei Rabbah. You can't even say Kadosh Kadosh. So maybe here you can't answer Amen Yehei Rabbah in the Chasim of this bracha V'Tzarachian. Now what's the difference between a bracha Kitzar and a bracha Arucha? The Be'er Halacha says later on in Siman Samach Gimel, in Siman Samach Vav Siv Gimel, by a bracha Kitzar, if you make a hefsek, you can connect the end of the bracha to the Shem and the Malchus. Accordingly, even a bracha Arucha, you can't interrupt after you say Baruch Atah Hashem at the end. What about B'diavad, if a person was mafsik? The Chai Adam is masupik, whether you have to go back to the beginning. Okay, Rabbi said we'll hold it over here. We'll pick it up Monday, Be'ezus Hashem, in Sif Gimel. Thank you for joining today. Have a wonderful Shabbos. You could join us at 10:45 for some Shiurim on the Parsha. Unless you actually have to go to work. Okay. Kol Tov, everyone. Have a good day.